without the autopilot because they had to turn it all off in order to save power. And as Apollo 13 passes around the moon, they pass over their landing site. They pass over Frau Morrow, and there was a kind of second twang of disappointment that they weren't going to get to go down there. But again, they continue passing over and right round, and we successfully got round the moon, and we're tracking this angle, and it looks okay for now, but there's a possibility that it could shallow. There is another problem in that their rate of consumables taking up electricity, water, food. Every calculation that Mission Control makes says the same thing. The crew will not survive. Everything will pass out, 20 to 30 hours before they get home. So after we pass behind the moon, we have to come up with a technique to accelerate our return journey. We suddenly realize that we're going to have to use the engine on the lunar module a second time to speed up. Otherwise, we were going to be out of power by the time we got our guys home. So, how do you fly a lunar module without an autopilot? Jim Lovell realized that he couldn't pilot the thing on his own without an autopilot. He had no navigation system, so he had to come up with a technique of using the Earth's terminator, where day turns to night. There is a place where we call the terminator, to figure out their attitudes and angle. Fred Hayes would keep the Earth from going up and down. Jim Lovell kept it from going sideways, and Jack Swigert would use his watch to time the burn. And that was when we started doing things by the seat of our pants. And they lit the engine and poof! Suddenly accelerated towards the Earth, shaving 9 hours off of their return journey. And with careful rationing of food and water, the supplies should last. And although conditions in the LEM are miserable, the low temperatures and not enough food will not kill them. But every breath they take releases a poison that can. Every breath out releases a little bit more of the gas carbon dioxide into their atmosphere. And as the build-up, as they breathe in the carbon dioxide, their lungs can't give enough oxygen into their blood. So they're going to start losing their eyesight, and they actually did, before they implemented this solution that we found, they actually did start getting little black patches in their eyes. Their hands started shaking because their muscles weren't getting the correct amount of oxygen in their blood. Because the canisters that are designed to remove carbon dioxide, there are only enough of them for 2 people. Jim, Jack and Fredo were 3. So there are spare carbon dioxide canisters in Odyssey, but they're round, and the canisters in the Aquarius were a different shape, so they couldn't fit them in. So we had to come up with this deal, this filter which would take this square peg in this round hole, and we did it with a piece of plastic, a duct tape, a piece of cardboard, and an old sock to make this filter that we then put in the canisters, and that CO2 level just came down so slick, it was great. And now the crew has one last major hurdle to get over, and that's re-entry. We know that at this point that there must have been some sort of explosion on the command module, so we're wondering, has it damaged the heat shield? Has it damaged the parachutes? Because both will be needed for re-entry, and we need to go through re-entry. There's no other way to get home. So this crippled spacecraft will have to withstand temperatures of more than 4,000 degrees when it slams into the air at 26,000 miles an hour. So the crew get oriented. We don't want to get rid of the lunar module. We're going to have to do that, but we don't want to do it just yet because we want to keep its thrusters for control purposes as we go in. So we eject the service module, and as they eject it, they come past it, and through the windows of Odyssey, they can see the service module float past them. And Jim Lovell looks out and he reports Mission Control, there's one whole side of that spacecraft missing. I've seen the pictures that they took, and oh my god, it really is, half of the spacecraft is gone. And starting to really wonder if Apollo 13 can make it with that extensive amount of damage in space to this ship. And so there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing that you can do about it. You have to go through the re-entry. So there's nothing more that we can do. We have to bring them in now. They keep hold of Aquarius for as long as possible so that they can keep their angle as straight as possible going into their landing site in the Pacific Ocean, where the Navy will come and pick them up. The USS Okinawa, an aircraft carrier, was on station ready to receive the spacecraft as it came in. So we get rid of Aquarius, and she will re-enter the Earth's atmosphere over the Philippine Islands, and hopefully completely burn up and not harm anyone. And as they release Aquarius, which kept them alive for that long, they transfer into the command module and then release their lunar module, and they say, "So long, Aquarius, and we thank you." And then they have to leave this wonderful ship to break up and burn in the Earth's atmosphere, and just hope to hell that they are not about to meet the same fate. The re-entry started, and very quickly we lose radio contact with Apollo 13 as this heat causes the air around them to ionize, and radio communications cannot penetrate this stuff. The blackout should last 3 minutes, and so we're sitting there counting, and everyone in Mission Control they all remember just dead silence, just hoping that these guys have survived. Now the 3-minute mark went by, and there's still no word from Apollo 13. And after 3 minutes 20 went by, people are starting to look grim. People are starting to question whether or not they survived. Now what had happened was that their angle had shallowed a little bit as they had gone in. So the command module came up against more air than they thought it would and took longer to come down. And then up on the cameras in Mission Control, we see this black dot on the horizon and 3 parachutes up above it, and then we hear Jack Swigert calling down to Joe Kerwin, the Capcom. He says, "Hey Joe," and Joe Kerwin says, "Hey Apollo 13, we show you on the mains, it really looks great." So we got our crewmen home, and any mission that you can bring your crew back home from is a success, and we were all very joyful and all very tired, and there didn't seem to be anything else to say, but they were great. And for that crew to keep calm and do things right the first time, that's a testament to all of NASA. We got our crew back safely despite enormous technical challenges, and Apollo 13 was not something to be ashamed of, it's something to be proud of. that we got this crew back home, and it is an amazing tale, and movies and television series and books have been written about it. It was NASA's greatest moment. I'm convinced